The pale garden biome. Atmospheric, beautiful in the daytime, eerie in the nighttime, but never, ever blink. It's the perfect place for a custom base, right? Well, let's find out. We're going to make this Minecraft base in the pale garden, made mostly out of pale garden blocks. Follow along with what I do, and hopefully you can get similar results to me. These are the blocks that I'm going to use. The numbers aren't absolutely exact, I warn you now, and there could be the odd block here and there that I add. But if you collect this up, you should be good. Let's go. And I think this pale garden looks perfect for what I've got in mind. But to make it easier for you to follow along, I'm going to do this in a flat world. And I'll show you what it looks like in that pale garden towards the end. So you better watch till then, hadn't you? First things first, you are going to need 2 circles, 2 of them 7 wide and 1 of them 15 wide. And you are going to overlap them just like this. So take a screenshot of that if it makes it easier for you, and you can copy it straight down. And that will give you a slightly asymmetrical shape that looks just like this. And then what you want to do is come to the left hand side, this little row of 3 here, miss the middle and start on the left hand side, and start in there, go all the way around your outside until you get to this one. Leave that blank, but you want to go all the way around. And obviously you can use whatever palette you want for this, but if you use pale oak like I did, you should have something that looks just like that. And this is where you can either follow me block for block, or you can get a little bit more creative, because we're going to raise the 2 smaller circles up a bit and the middle one a little bit more. I'm going to raise this one on the left again with the pale oak logs 5 high all the way around. And then on this side, I'm going to raise it 4 high. And the bits in the middle here, we're going to raise them 8 high. So it looks like this, but if you want to change up those heights, you go for your life. And actually, this is all very regular, and we're going to change it to make it look far more organic anyway. We're now going to come inside and we're going to count up 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. And on the top of that 3rd block, we're going to put a slab, and I'm using, again, pale oak slabs for this. We're going to do this in this small circle and also the other small circle as well. And we're going to come out into the main circle as far as you want to, really. I'm going to come out to the sides of that, so I'm going to keep this 5 wide bit completely open, and I'm going to repeat the same on this side, and I'm going to go right the way across to the other side. So it looks like that, and we're then going to come across the front and again, and then 1 more time like that. We're going to leave the back completely open, and we're going to run a pale oak fence all the way around. We're then going to get temporary blocks and complete these circles. So here we've got the 3, the 1, so this goes 2, 3, and then that goes in 1, and then we come across the other side here. We've got the 1, 2, 3 there, so that comes in 1, and then 1, 2, 3. So we've completed that, and we're going to make those 2 high. And then on top of them, we're going to complete the bigger circle using more of these pale oak logs. And then we can remove those temporary wall blocks. We can then place a temporary block just level with those slabs. So we've got a 2 block gap there. And again, we can place blocks on top of those just to close it off and remove that temporary block. We're then going to get a step, and we're going to place an upside down step from the inside, so you've got it coming down like that. Now outside that looks a little bit weird, so we're going to grab another one of these logs and we're going to poke it outwards so you can see the inside of the log there. We're then going to get our pale oak door, we're going to come inside, and we're going to place the door like that. So far you've got something that looks like this. So that's all very flat right now, but that's fine. We are going to enclose this a little bit more, so we're going to need to put some light in. So I'm going to come to this block here, and I'm going to punch it out, and I'm going to place a pale oak fence inside. I don't think it needs to be glass. I think the pale oak fence works really, really well. I'm then going to do the same right there, place a pale oak fence there, right in the middle of this, pale oak fence there, right in the middle of that, pale oak fence there, and then we're going to punch out 2 on this side, 1 there and 1 there, and pop in a pale oak fence. That is going to give the effect of some windows on the outside. Now on this side, we're going to punch out 1 there and miss a gap, and then 1 there, so we've got a double window at the back. Now the 2 small circles are now going to be external, so we want to come inside, so just the big circle that I'm in now, and we're going to put some windows in. I'm going to punch a hole out there, I'm going to punch a hole out of the back there like that. I'm going to come around to this side over here, and I'm going to punch a hole out there. And then again, at the front, we're going to punch 1 there, miss a gap, and 1 there. So it looks regular from the outside. Again, exactly the same. We're going to be placing our fence posts in these holes. And it's already starting to look just a little bit more detailed, but we're miles away from getting this fella done. Around the very top of our big circle, right at the top one there, we're going to completely fill it in with these pale oak slabs. And then on the inside, against all the windows, we're going to put an upside down step, and on that we're going to place a lantern. So this is going to light the underside up so we don't get any spawns. Now we need a way to get up to this mezzanine level and ultimately up to the top as well. And I don't want to take up loads of space with stairs. We want to use this space for something else. So I'm going to come to the back, and you can pick either side here. I'm just going to come to this side because it's the furthest away from the door. I'm going to take out that slab, and I'm going to place myself 1, 2, and 3 ladders that are going to go up to this level. And at this point, you can place your second ladder anywhere you want. I'm just going to continue the same ladder up, but if you want to put it in a different spot, you go for your life. Take out that one and pop your ladder there, which means you can really easily get to the top layer, which is just as well because we want to raise this up one more level. So our base is starting to look a little bit like a fort, so we need to change that. Now you've probably already worked it out. Of course you have, I showed you it earlier, but this isn't meant to look like a fort, it's meant to look like a dead tree. So we've got a little bit of work to do, and the look I'm going for is kind of old dead and maybe even a little bit struck by lightning. We're going to try and make it a little bit jaggedy but higher as it goes towards the trunk on these two little sides, and then this side quite jaggedy and lopsided so it's asymmetrical. That's the idea, but this is how it goes. So we're going to place 1, 2, 3 blocks on that side, 1, 2, 3 on that side, and then 2 on either side there. So that starts to give us the slope that we're looking for, and then we kind of want to make it relatively random around here. So some of them are going to be 1, some are going to be 2, I'm going to have 2 there, 1 there, and I'm going to kind of keep it like that. So that's quite nice and jaggedy that side. I'm going to repeat it on this side as well, and that already looks better. This side's either come up 1 block, 2 blocks, or 3 blocks, and this side over here, it's actually come up no blocks on that one, 1 block, 2 blocks, or 3 blocks, just to make it a little bit irregular so it doesn't look like it's non-natural. This side, however, this big top one, we've got to try and shape it, and I want to shape it asymmetrically, meaning on this side it's going to be taller up here, and this side is going to be a little bit shorter, maybe that high as a maximum. And with this, you just want to go freestyle, make it up as you go along. If you try and do it too regularly, it's not going to look organic. So we're going to put up to maybe 8 high on one side and as low as that 3 high on the other side, but we're not going to do it as a straight line. We're going to do it up and down, quite jaggedy, so it looks like lightning might have hit it. So this is already 5 high, so I'm going to put another 3 on top of that, and I'm just going to look to see whether or not that's tall enough. Now I'm going to be honest, I think that needs to go up another couple of blocks, so I'm going to make this 10 high now. You use your eye, do what it is you want to do with it, it's entirely up to you. And then I'm going to shape this side so it's all similarly high to that. I'm going to bring that one lower. I'm going to bring this up to the same level. And then I'm going to bring this up one lower as well. So that kind of starts my slope. And then here, we're going to kind of bring this up maybe one lower than that. And this one can come up to the same level. And then perhaps this one can come up one higher, just to make it again a little bit less regular. This one can come 2 lower than that one currently. This can come up to perhaps 1 lower than that. That can come up to perhaps 1 higher than that. This can come 2 lower than that perhaps, and then we'll continue this kind of pattern as we go down all the way around. I want to make sure that when we get to this side, we're not getting any lower than that. Maybe we only want 1 on a couple of them. It's entirely up to you. Just use your artistic eye. So what we've got now is something that looks relatively organic. We've got a natural slope here. We've not got anything that looks like it's too rounded. It all looks very jaggedy and natural. And what we want to do is create another level, but only in half of this top bit, so we don't waste all this space, because we've got to make sure we use it. Otherwise, what's the point? A base could have loads of stuff in it, right? We want to make sure every angle of space is used up properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3, and on the top of the 4th block, I'm going to put another row of slabs across there, and I'm going to bring it back across for a second level. I'm going to bring it back across. So as we've got at the very depth, 1, 2, 3, 4 slabs. And I think that's probably enough, otherwise it's going to start to stick out beyond our top here. Just looking at what we've got. You know what, I'm going to go one more. Let's give it one more and make it 5. Just because of the way I've randomly placed those jaggedy bits, we can actually afford to give it a 5th section. And to stop you falling off, stick a fence all the way across. And come to one of these 2 corners, doesn't matter which one, and place yourself a ladder to the top so you can access it. So our base is starting to take shape, but it's still a little bit too regular in terms of those circles. We need to rough it up a bit more. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to place some upside down steps underneath all of these windows, which obviously breaks up that circular shape a little bit. Not enough for what it is we want to do, but at least it's a start. And then we're going to get some more of these pale oak logs, and we're going to place them so as they're in relatively random positions around the outside. So I'm going to place maybe 1, 2, 3 on that one. That can be 1, that could be 2, that can stay as it is, that could be 1, and just bring it all the way around to make a little bit of a less regular shape with this circle. And once you've done that, place a pale oak wood on top of all the ones that are next to your original circle. And what that'll do is that'll give you a feel for where you need a little bit more. So I think I need to come out a little bit further on this side, and I'm going to put another one there. These ones, however, I'm not going to place any pale oak wood on the top. I'm going to keep it so I can see the grain of the wood on the outside. And once you've got that bit right, I quite like the way that looks around the bottom there, we can start to add just the traces of some roots. And we're going to do that with, again, the pale oak wood, and we're going to bring it out just in a few lines coming away from your tree, like this. Now be really careful you don't overdo this, otherwise it starts to look stringy. I think that is more than enough probably, but let's leave it there. Now at this stage you can make some decisions. If you want to also implant some roots in at ground level as well where they've continued, do that, because that can look really cool. However, I'm going to leave those out for now and I'll add them in when I put them into the world that we look at later. However, what we are going to do is add in a few more windows just to break up that straight line that we've got on that side, and also on this side here, and also on this side here. Make sure you place your windows on the higher levels in the same place above where you put them on the lower levels. They need to be a straight line, otherwise it just looks messy. We want it to look like a natural tree stump, but you've got to have in mind that you have converted this architecturally. And at this point, this all looks like a fairly flat colour, so I'd like to texture it up just a little bit. And what I think is really good is using acacia log. So take out some of the wood that you've got and replace it with acacia log. It works beautifully well with the pale oak. I really like it as a palette, and as a result we get something that looks, again, a little bit more natural than perhaps it being solidly pale oak on its own. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place some mossy cobble just randomly around the place, because if it's a long dead tree it's likely to have a little bit of rock with it as well. And along with the pale oak we got the pale moss block, and this really go to town on. Make sure you get plenty of it in there. Pale moss works really well, again, against that palette of the pale oak. And I think that's probably deliberate by the developers to give us an interesting palette, but make sure you put plenty of this in because there's going to be lots of moss over this tree. It's probably quite old. Then we can get some leaves in. And the thing about leaves is they don't have to have gravity worry in them. We can bring a leaf in there and a leaf in there, and then it can kind of go sideways and up and around and just wind its way across the entire build. Just go to town with it. Put the leaves wherever you want. Make sure you get yourself a scattering of other leaves in there as well, just to give a little bit of colour differentiation. Then finally, place down a little bit of pale moss carpet. Now what that does, you can see when you place it down, it shoots growth up the wood next to it. So if I put that there, look, you get a little bit of growth there. This is a really gorgeous texture and it adds loads to the build. And you don't have to put the moss just on the floor. Come and bring it up to some of the higher levels as well and get that lovely texture there too. That looks so much better and so much more natural now. So that's most of the primary structure done now, but we still need to do a lot of detailing, not to mention the inside. Now the first thing I'm going to do is bring in some pots, and I'm going to put some eye blossoms in. Now it makes sense, this is a pale garden, so we have eye blossoms that'll open and close during the day and the night. I'm not going to put them on all of them because the odd shelf is going to need to have a lantern on it to make sure we bring enough light through. And then where there's space, and not every window is going to have space, I'm going to place a shutter using a jungle trapdoor, because I think the jungle trapdoor works again beautifully with this palette next to the window. So let's get rid of that and let's place a trapdoor in there. I'm just going to go around and do those. Obviously where you've got a block either side of the window, just leave it. And what that's done is break up the outside. So again, we've not got this flat pale oak wood surface going up and down in a straight line. Those trapdoors break it up beautifully and make it far more homely. And I'm going to add to that by coming inside the small circle by the door, punching out that hole and placing a fence, punching out that hole and placing a fence. I think that can afford another 2 windows. That looks much better from the outside now. So let's come inside. And the first thing I'm going to do is replace this entire floor with stripped pale oak. Make sure you place all this in the same direction, because the pale oak, whilst it is really faint, you do get a crossing over of the grain, and I don't want that in this particular build. I want it all to be going in the same straight line, because we're going to rough it up in a slightly different way in just a minute. By scattering in some pale oak planks quite randomly, but not too many. I don't want it to be covered in pale oak planks. I just want just a hint of them every now and again to stop it looking such a solid kind of pink stripy colour that this pale oak wood gives it. That's starting to look great, but a base isn't all about how it looks. It needs to have utility as well. So let's make that. So in the small circle away from the door, we have got smelting and smoking. We're going to place our bed just near our ladder. Our enchanting table goes in the opposite corner with a couple of anvils tucked behind it and a grindstone on the other side to remove enchantments you don't want, along with a few barrels for storage of lapis and other bits and pieces, and a few chiseled bookshelves to store all the enchanted books you've made. Add in some storage, a crafting table, and some decoration, including a big old table in the middle with all your stuff on it, and another little desk for you to eat your enchanted golden apple. That's the downstairs, but what about the other levels? I think we don't do too much with this. We stick in some armor stands, a little bit of light, a little bit of extra storage across there, and we make 2 seating areas, external ones, with a little bit of decoration and somewhere to check out the great weather that you get in the Pale Garden. Because Pale Garden weather's great, right? But we've still got these 2 levels and we need to do something with them as well. So what about a crafting and workstation level that we've got here, along with an infinite water source and even a little farm, and upstairs totally dedicated to storage. Now we are so nearly done, but there is one more block that I want to try and integrate somehow, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure how, because the palette doesn't really want it, but somehow I've got to include resin, right? But look, when I place it on the build, it just looks, well, very orange, but we're still going to give it a go. And it turns out the secret is to not overdo it, only have it on the lower levels and just use the resin block, not the resin bricks. I don't mind that too much. That looks okay. So let's get it in the actual biome it's meant to be in now, which is right here. Let's find a relatively flat area. This should do, and I think that fits perfectly. So let's just landscape the outside a little bit with some paths and things like that. And I think we really don't need any more than that. The Pale Garden's pretty desolate and grey, so if we overcook the garden, it just won't make sense. So we've got a pathway running up to our base, and it's just a broken tree really. Inside, if we pop inside, if I can actually get through the door, we've got some storage, close that up, and in here we've got a living space, enchanting area, somewhere to sleep, somewhere to do a little bit of smelting. Up here, if we come to the first level, we've got ourselves a little seating area on both sides, and if we go up to the next level up at the top, we find that we have got ourselves lots of storage up at the top and plenty of workstationing down here. I'm really pleased how this one came out. If you've done yourself a Pale Garden base, then let me know by sending me a picture in my Discord. The link is down in the description, and I will really look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.